go straight into questions. Loads of cameras have suddenly gone up. We are going to start on the right-hand side, so put your hands up, really nice and high, because I'm now at a lower level. Lady with the microphone, run to someone with their hand up.
Hi, what was it like to watch that documentary, and did it change any of your perspectives?
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you for a second. I will point out one very important thing. There's so many people on this stage, it's going to be quite hard for them to hear the questions. Also, it's going to be damn near impossible for them to listen to each other's answers because they're all going forward. So when you're asking a question, please be as slow and as loud as possible so that we can hear it properly.
What was it like to watch the documentary?
Now I just want to check, did you hear that question?
Who was it addressed to?
Is that to anyone in particular?
That's to Ira, right? Ira should answer that question.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of anyone really, but all of you. It's 45 minutes, right?
Many times, so I should be the last one to answer. But let's see who's brave enough to speak up.
Maybe if a couple of you speak about it, because I know that 16 people talking will take the entire half an hour.
Max, start. You're on the end. Start, Max.
It was really touching. I thought it was it's kind of emotional to see everybody again after 20 years, and I really missed the fact that I hadn't gone to something where everyone was on the sofa sitting together in Los Angeles or Las Vegas or wherever they were. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. What do you think? Did they take the mic from you? Yes. Okay.
I would like to say it made me very, very proud that I was a part of this family and a part of this show and a part of all these people's lives because it made me realize how important these stories were to everyone.
And maybe if we can hear from Ira, then we'll move on.
I made it, so I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, I love doing it. You know, one of the reasons I said I'd do it was to get a chance to interview all these people and just spend time with them. So that was very fulfilling. And then doing the room with the guys, you know, episode 1, season 8, again, it was really about family, and we hadn't sat in a room together, all of us at the same time, since 1999. So that was kind of a lovely one day in out beautiful thing. But you know, the film has to stand on its own, and really it's the audience. It now belongs, once we're done with it completely and it goes out, it's the audience who ultimately owns it and decides what it is. So
I thought it was funny and quirky the way we are. It smelled like us, I thought. And I also thought it was fascinating to watch the writer's room. I hadn't realized how improvisational, how very yes and the rules of improv for actors, the whole thing is. They just flow from one to another with the ideas. And I found that so interesting to watch.
Okay, we have a question from the front.
Hi, my question's mainly for Ira, but anyone who wants to jump in. First of all, congratulations on what we left behind. It was well worth the wait. And my question is, was there any aspects of the show, whether character, story arc, episode or anything, that you wish more than anything could have been included in the documentary?
well, it's all going to be included eventually in the special features. I mean, we did 110 hours, 120 hours of interviews, so we have to cull all of that. So yeah, there's tons of stuff I wish we could have gotten in there. There's tons of stuff we cut together and could have just slipped right into the movie that we cut at the last minute because it would be too long, or it was off topic, or it just didn't fit the mood, the emotional mood, since we weren't going linear. But it's all good. We have plenty of time to get all that stuff out, including the writer's room, which 20 minutes, we all look really intelligent in the writer's room because we cut the hell out of it from 5 hours down to 20 minutes. So you cut all the dead ends, and you cut all the mistakes, and you cut all the dead space, and it makes you, we turned it into a linear story, which it isn't. At the beginning of the day, I mentioned we're going to do section 31, but if we put that at the beginning of the movie, it would have blown the surprise, and that Bashir was, could have been the head of section 31, which wouldn't have even been in that episode. Anyway, you wouldn't have found that out in episode 1. So we really had to play tricks with time to make it accessible for the doc. But when it all comes out, you'll see what it's really like to be in a writer's room. It's a little more chaotic, but I think it worked for this.
Everyone in this room, by the way, is invited to the premiere of the special features. It's 120 hours long, and it's next year.
We have a question. There's a waving hand right back there. Yep.
Hello. My favourite episodes were the ones in the Mirror Universe. How did any of the actors with a Mirror Universe counterpart prepare for that role?
Okay.
And particularly for Terry, did you find it odd that Ben Sisko had sex with Jadzia and then never mentioned it?
So the question was, anyone who had a Mirror Universe part, how did you prepare for that part?
What about sex with Cisco? Maybe it was.
The fact that he had sex with the Mirror counterpart but never mentioned the fact that when he got back, oh, by the way.
Were we meant to remember that? Do we know that's happening? I don't think we remember. You don't remember. Ira, were we meant to remember it?
Okay, this is awkward.
When we did the doc, when we did the doc, and this is, and then I'm going to pass the microphone and stop asking questions. When we did the doc, everyone told me, just about everyone here said, the one rule they laid down was, don't ask me about individual episodes, don't ask me names, I'm not going to remember. It's 25 years ago, so we try to stay away from those type of questions, those type of specific questions, because that wasn't what the doc was about. So when, asking us now about something that specific, chances are no one's going to remember, because I don't know about any of these guys, but I've only seen 2 episodes of the show since 1999. So
Just let them go.
we don't remember.
Well, that kills my question about season 4, episode 21. Okay. We had someone on the left-hand side. Yep, okay.
Hello. It's really amazing to see everyone's here. And my question is to Professor Andy Robinson. And
Just keep it.
Dean, that's Dean.
I was not a dean. I was never a dean. I'm a professor emeritus right now. I'm a grave.
Let her ask her question.
it's okay. I love hearing talking anything. I can hear for a lifelong time. And so as a younger generational fans and also international fans, I missed a lot of goodies in late 90s and early 20s. So I heard a rumor, I'm not even sure whether it's true, that you once wrote a drama, like a conversation between Dr. Bashir and Garrett, and you and Sid actually play it. So can you tell us a little bit about it? Because I cannot find anything talk about the content.
It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
We incinerated it. only the people who showed up at those various things. We took string theory and astrophysics and we balled
Dean Andy Robinson.
We had a great time. I don't know if the audience, I think a couple times the audience sort of like went south on us, but we had a good time.
It was called The Nexus. That's your search word.
The Nexus, yes.
Okay, we have a question smack bang in the middle.
Hello. I was just wondering what it was like to work with Iggy Pop and how did you get him on the show?
I tried to get Iggy Pop on a show back in the 80s. I mean, I like Iggy Pop a lot. He's an important American artist, actually. Anyway, so trying to get him in the 80s twice. He wouldn't do it once. He didn't want to play a drug dealer. The other time he was touring. Then I tried to get him for Past Tense. The part that Clint Howard played, the kind of street guy who helped Jadzia get into the sanctuary district, and he wasn't available for that. And finally, he had a bad accident in Cleveland. He stage dove and no one caught him, and he landed on his shoulder, and he was in immense pain, so he wasn't touring, and he was available to do the show. That's how we got him, and if anyone wants to talk about what it was like to act with him, Armin, go.
Okay, it isn't so much how I interacted with Iggy Pop, but I want to tell this story. We shot his scene rather late in the morning. By morning, I mean 2 o'clock in the morning, or 1 o'clock in the morning. And he was a little nervous about being in alien makeup. He was a little nervous about acting as well. And it's a credit to Cecily Adams, who is no longer with us. Her scene was with him, and she spent most of her free time that evening calming him down. And we owe a great deal of applause to Cecily Adams for making sure that Iggy Pop was ready for that performance.
I have a quick story. I don't even think Ira knows this. Sometimes they don't get the sound right. You have to go into a sound stage and then redo your lines watching your performance. And I was in New York City working, and I had to do some looping on one of the episodes. So they said, go to this studio at this time, at this day, you're gonna do some looping. So I walk in, and I said, shit, there's Iggy Pop! Iggy was in there doing looping. I had no idea it was just pretty extraordinary to see Iggy Pop this close to you. You know, he looks like that.
And the reason he was doing looping was, with all due respect to Mr. Pop, he was terrified when he was performing. I looked in his eyes and I thought, the last place he wants to be is right here. But he did a wonderful job.
Well, I had a surreal experience because I was playing Brunt, so I'm in my full orange butt regalia, and Iggy is playing a Vorta. And I walked up to him and I said, you know, Mr. Pop, I play one of these as well. And he could give a shit.
Okay, we have one further to the back on the left-hand side.
Hi, I've got a question for Renee, Armin and Casey. Now that you've all played prosthetic heavy parts, would you now run a mile from any other parts that you were offered if you had to use prosthetics again?
Before I started doing Deep Space Nine, I was doing a movie and Roddy McDowell was in it. We were at lunch and I said to him, well, Roddy, you did Planet of the Apes, and that was incredible. Prosthetics, and it took hours and hours. And then I said, how did you, and I know I'm going to be in a heavy prosthetic, and how did you handle it? I mean, what did you do? And he said, I thought about the money. So the answer to that question is, no, of course I wouldn't run. It's like giving birth, I imagine. imagine it's like giving birth. You forget. So that's my answer.
Now, Renee, did you not teach mask in Juilliard?
I did teach mask work at Juilliard. I studied mask work at university and did many performances in a mask, right? But, yeah, so what does that mean?
It means that you had some experience with masks.
Thank you, Armin.
You're welcome, Renee. Now, I have a very different story than Renee's. When I was told that I was going to play Ferengi, and I knew how much mask work that was, I called up my old acquaintance, Ron Perlman, who had done a ton of work in mask, and I asked him, this is a true story, how did you do that? And he said to me, Armin, think of the money.
And one of my days on the set, I said to Renee, Renee, I don't know if I can act through all of this makeup, 9 pieces. And he said, think of the money.
So where was it in the end?
Okay, we have a question from right at the back.
Hello to everyone. Hello. I'm completely starstruck right now. I love all of you. But my question is directly, mainly to Nana. I recently had a baby, and it completely changed my life for the better. I know in DS9 you were pregnant and had a child. I'm just wondering what kind of effect that had on you during DS9, and to all of you really, how family life was for you, because obviously it's such a demanding job, what that was like, really. Thank you.
Well, first of all, congratulations. That's wonderful. And it was 25 years ago. And I distinctly remember Sadig on the phone calling Rick Berman to give him the bad news that we were having a baby. And we both hoped that I wouldn't be let go. That was the truth of the moment. And I always had the feeling that I hoped I wouldn't get fired. I hoped I didn't inconvenience anybody. I want, if the prop guys brought me a chair, I'd say, no, I can stand. I didn't want anyone to even think that my pregnancy was going to change things. And so it was, I think it would be much different in present time. And I think people do it a little better. It can be even better, I know, for people. But it's always difficult to work and have a child. You hope to make it. You think if I just work hard enough, if I just don't sleep, I'll make this all work. And sometimes, some days are okay, and other days aren't. So it was a challenge, but I said this yesterday. Now I look at these 2 young men, and I look at the documentary and the relationships I have, this village tribe I belong to, that is so unusual. It really was all worth all of the trouble. It really was.
Okay, over on the right-hand side. I noticed we had someone further on that. Oh, okay. Oh, in the middle then, okay.
Hi, hello guys. Thank you for being here. I'm such a fan. My question is today for Michael Dawn. So, how did you feel when you were recast as a recurring character in Deep Space Nine after The Next Generation? How did that happen? And did you have any kind of doubts in your mind if you should detach yourself from the role of Worf, or were you very happy to be back to the role of Worf? And yes, how did that happen for you? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, when they called me and asked me would I do it and get back in makeup again, I called Renee. It was seriously interesting because I was in Baltimore in 95, and I was doing a video game, and really it was kind of over, like really over. I think we're going to do another movie in a couple of years, so it was really kind of out of my purview. And I don't know how they find you, but they can find you. You don't have to tell them where you are. But I get a call from Rick in my hotel room. You know, the producer, and I'm going, yeah. And he goes, hey, look, how you doing? Fine. How would you feel about coming back and reprising your role? And I said, to my amazement, I said, oh, sounds interesting. And so he said, yeah, we're thinking about it, and we wanted to see if you wanted to do it. And I said, yeah, and that started, I think it was probably at the end of their season. And so during the hiatus, which is 3 months, it was 3 months of fairly intense negotiation. I mean, really, really intense negotiation. And so it was, to my amazement, and I gotta say this, I wasn't like against it. You know, I wasn't like, oh my God, I don't want to do that makeup again. Oh my God, you know, or anything like that. I mean, I do tell a joke, and it's not really a joke, but in a way it is. Speaking of the money, I tell the story that I was going, oh, I'll never do makeup again. Oh, forget it. You know, when that's over, I'm done. I'll do the movies, but that's only a short time. I'm through. I'll never do that. You know, you can take your money. How much? And, but it was, it really wasn't part of it. What part of it was, I just wanted to make sure that the character did something. I didn't want him sitting around, you know, or just sitting in the background grumbling or scowling or stuff like that. And to their credit, they said, no, it's going to be like this, it's going to be like this. And they were true to their word. I mean, I love Next Generation, you know, I mean, some wonderful stuff, but the work I did on Deep Space was far more deep and meaningful than the stuff I did on Next Generation.
Right at the back.
Hello. You're all amazing. My question is for Alexander Siddig, and I wanted to ask, how surprised were you when you were told you were genetically engineered?
I was really surprised. I think it was a Thursday or something like that. The script came out, and I had absolutely no inkling or heads up that this was about to happen. So it was probably 5 or 6 days ahead of shooting the show, and I reacted this way. That kind of answer your question? Yeah, pretty surprised.
Okay, we have, I'm looking for, he's over there on the right.
Hello. A question for those of you who have directed on the show as well as having acted on it. Thinking particularly of Rennie and his work on The Quickening, but I know there are other examples. How did you find the new experience or the different role you played? How did you approach it, and how did you come out from it?
How did I feel? Terrified, and I think I directed 8 episodes, and I never could have even approached that task without being in the unit of the family, the tribe, whatever those things are that we say about it. But I couldn't have done it without actors willing to be patient with me, and without a crew, and without producers and writers who supported it. So in those 8, I would say, and I never break this down correctly, I would say there were maybe 2 of them that I thought I did good work in, and then there were 4 of them that were okay, you know, they were good enough, and then whatever the math does were things that I felt I really was not able to do it, really. I couldn't come up to scratch for it. But It was a great experience, and I had no interest in pursuing it any further than that, because I could never imagine what it would be like going into a room with strangers and trying to do that. So it was a gift that was given to me by Rick Berman and the guys, and I took it and gobbled it up, and that was it.
It was my first foray into directing, and it wasn't frightening as much as it was eye-opening, and because even when you go to Paramount, directing school, you still don't realize that there are two parts to it. There's the filming part, which I loved and felt really comfortable with. But then there's the other part, which is the behind the camera stuff, where the producers and the writers and trying to navigate that, which takes a certain amount of talent to do. But there were moments, and there was one moment with Dana. I don't know if you remember this. You do, don't you? Where there's a certain thing you do. If you don't want something on camera, then you have to cut. Because if it goes into we'll do another take, and they'll find it, in the bin and somehow put it in. If you don't, and I cut Nana in the middle of a speech, and I turned to the script director and I said, I think Nana hates me now. I think she's not going to be my friend anymore. Because she looked at me, and I just went, oh boy, oh God, But it is. You really are, when you're the director, you're on the other side. Even though they're very nice to you and everything's fine, you're the director. You're sort of like the person that is on the other team, and you have to navigate that too, and that takes a certain skill that took me a whole episode to do. But like I said, you think, oh my God, and then when it's over, everybody forgets about it. They're your friends. They're not going to do anything, So it was great. It was great.
We're there to help you understand. Don't cut in the middle of it, right? So we're there to help you and support you.
Okay, we have time for one last question. I believe it's at the front.
Thank you. Hi everyone. It's really wonderful to see you all here. It's really special because for me, you're my favourite set of actors and my favourite Star Trek series. Obviously, it's been 25 years, and a lot of time's passed, and TV's changed, and the way TV is produced has changed. But at the time, DS9, and this talked about in the documentary, it didn't quite get its due, perhaps. Not just with necessarily Star Trek fans, but TV as a whole. Do you think now that finally, with the influence it's had on television and everything like that, do you feel like this is to any of you really, do you feel like it's finally got the respect it deserves? To anyone?
No. Walk into this hall. Walk into the hall. There's a banner of Cisco. That's it. There's no banner of Kira. There's no banner of Odo. There's no banner of but it's because it's still attributed to the fact that the first show and the Next Generation, wonderful shows. No one is putting them down. They are brilliant things, and they led the charge for Star Trek. But we are still in the shadow of those two shows. Yes.
yes, and that makes the fact that you guys see the show for all the important things that it was, the incredible range of things that it was, even more special to us, because you guys get it.
I just wanted to share one thing that Walter said to me. I wanted to tell these guys here last night. He came over and he sat down at the table and he said, I have to ask you a question. I said, what? He said, it looked like you all liked each other. He said, we didn't like each other. And was that true? Is it true? Is that really the way it felt? And I would have to say, yes. I mean, I think pretty much everyone is happy to see everyone else when we come together. And that's a testament to from the top up and it trickles down. The very first day I was on the set, this goofball said, he didn't know me, he said, come into my trailer, let's look at the scene and talk about it. So I think that thing comes across, and it came across in the documentary, that we really care about each other, and therefore we care about you too. So I just wanted to share that Walter was really taken with that.
Casey, Armin said the same thing to me, but he didn't ask me into his trailer. So.
Okay, before we finish, I believe, Armin, you've got a last thing you'd like to say.
Yes, it's a tribute to our show that, look at this stage. Look at the series regulars, look at the recurring characters, look at the guest stars. You can't really say that about any other show. We are an ensemble, we are indeed a tribe, we are friends. Everything you heard today is absolutely true, which made the work really special. But there's one particular guest star who I'm particularly fond of, and it's her birthday this week, and I want to invite her on stage, Kitty Swink. And ladies and gentlemen, there's one other person who's celebrating a birthday this week, and I want applause for both of them. Ira Stephen Bear. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Glad you put a crappy runabout on the birthday cake. There you go.
Is that edible? You do need to blow them out fast for health and safety reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the cast and crew of Deep Space Nine!